Hi, everyone. Welcome to ElCo Chats. My name is Julieta. ElCo Chats is a regular podcast where we feature some of our El Camino College graduates, current students, staff, faculty, and managers who work here at the college. For today's podcast, I get to chat with three amazing women. We're celebrating you, and we're celebrating a movement. It's the California Community College to HBCU Transfer Guarantee, an initiative opening doors for California students to continue their higher education at historically Black colleges and universities. So we're joined with three incredible women who really made this possible, not just for our students here at El Camino College, but also for students throughout the California Community College system. We have Mrs. Elaine Moore, former counselor at El Camino College, previous Dean of Counseling and Student Success, Dr. Regina Smith, and Assistant Project Director, Dr. Helen Young. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
So we really want to inform students about HBCU transfer guarantee from the California Community College system, but we also want to talk about how it started, why it started, and the work that really you all did together. So I have a first question here, and if anybody can jump in for that one. So what inspired you to get involved in strengthening the transfer pathway between California community colleges and HBCUs? And what moment made you realize this work was truly making an impact?
Well, I'd like to address that question. First of all, it started right here at El Camino College under the leadership of Dr. Smith, who was dean at that time, and myself. We had a whole team that included Dr. Young, who was on our committee. We knew the passion, we knew the vision. We had the vision of exposing students to these wonderful opportunities at historically Black colleges and universities. I'm a graduate of Howard University, so I know the impact of how an HBCU can influence and change your life. So I began doing transfer agreements individually with HBCUs back before 1992. And students in the community would hear about these transfer agreements, and some of them were at other community colleges, so they would come to El Camino to seek me out so I could help them transfer to some of the HBCUs that we actually got signed tag agreements with quite a while ago. But initially it was articulation agreements, course by course, matching courses here and at the other HBCUs, and it was so time intensive. I thought about, we need to do a broader transfer agreement that would not involve all of this time intensive work. So while I was on sabbatical, I came up looking at the UC tags and came up with the formula to put El Camino College in a position to accept courses from HBCUs. And it transferred, and a lot of students transferred, and the program was able to spread statewide through a grant that we received from the Chancellor's Office.
Thank you. And that grant, I know it was your leadership.
Yes.
That the dedication and the advocacy that really supported this grant possible. And again, this is a 10-year celebration as well. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So the grant, well, my inspiration came from Miss Elaine Moore. As Dean of Counseling and Student Services, we have over 100 faculty that we supervise. But Miss Moore, when she came to my office and she shared with me her vision, and I think at that time it may have been only maybe two,
maybe up to four.
Maybe up to four that she was working on. And she was sharing as she was doing them. And we were talking about articulation agreements, what worked, what didn't work, because we had to have sign off and work on both sides, academic side, student services side. She made me realize the inequities that were going on, not only in the community college systems, the CSU, UC, but statewide, that there weren't enough opportunities for our students. And so when she made that decision to say, hey, I want to do more, will you support this? I automatically thought, I see where she's going with this, and I can see how wide it will be and how impactful it will be for all of our students, not just El Camino, but for our entire state. So I was all in. But it took a lot of work to be all in, because when you're doing something on your own and you're the only one doing it, some people don't always understand the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being able to bring people in like Dr. Young and other partners to share in that vision and help to influence what we wanted to do was just a wonderful opportunity. But in order to get to the grant, Ms. Moore had to do the sabbatical because we had to have evidence of the work. And so while she's doing her sabbatical, I'm working in district-wide and statewide committees in the chancellor's office, meeting with people, sharing the dream of what we want, building support. And when we got to the point where we were able to build the support and the chancellor's office was receptive and they wanted to do a RFP. And I'm like, whoa, why you want to do an RFP? El Camino College is doing this. We got this. Can't we just do it? No, I think we need to compete with with more than 113 community colleges or so at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have to compete with everyone else, even though Ms. Moore's already set the model. I'm like, really? We got to do that? So they said yes. So then they did the RFP. And so I personally selected a small group of individuals to support us that could help us with our data, that could help us get the information we needed to prove the work that we had done and Mrs. Moore had done and the college had done. And so we met with our research team. We met with our all of our various areas, academic side, student services side, so we could start doing the research so we could begin this work. And so after we brought our team together, of course, Ms. Moore's on the team, Ms. Young's on the team, Brian Mims was on that team, Bobby was on that team, Andrea A.K. Amaker was on that team. Am I forgetting someone? I think that was it.
There might have been a couple more.
Maybe a couple more that I'm forgetting. And so we got the work and we started doing the work to provide our evidence. And so we're real diligent. I mean, when it's on, it's on. And when we compete, we win. There's no option. Losing is not an option. So we got everyone together and started working diligently on this grant that was extensive. It was like a dissertation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, then when others couldn't do it and I would just step in and go in my office and close out the deal to make sure that we had the work that we needed in order for us to win this grant. And when we won, oh my, well, there's more to the story, but I don't want to shout anyone out. There were other people that were supposed to be part of the team and then decided they weren't going to be part of the team. And I told them they were going to lose because they needed to be part of our team, El Camino College team. They didn't believe. There were some non-believers, but when we competed and we won, then they knew. They knew. And so we were so excited and we celebrated. Back then we didn't have Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
We had our conference calls.
That's right.
So we put the phone in the middle of the conference room.
That's right.
Yeah. This is way pre-COVID, pre-everything.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we probably had, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 people in that room that were all in, our articulation person, all of our faculty and stuff. And so
we had
everyone was,
administrators, articulation officers
right,
on that team.
Yeah.
our president was in. And I wanted to give a special shout out to Ken Brown, because Ken Brown, who was a Morehouse graduate, board of trustee for El Camino College, he was 100% in. And when we shared with him, we couldn't have done any wrong. Whatever we needed, he was there. And I want to acknowledge his support, helping us with the board support.
Absolutely.
And also we had administration support, our presidents and vice presidents and all of that. So when they announced it, we were excited. And so we started to build a team from that. But Ms. Moore had just retired. And so I wanted her to be the director, but she couldn't. So I ended up being the dean and the director for a short stint until we could get her back on board. Because we had a vision. We knew who needed to be there. So we were going to hold that spot until she could come back through. And that's what we did. That's what we did. And then when I got promoted to vice president at LA City College, Ms. Moore held on. And then we transitioned to our wonderful one and only Dr. Helen Young, took the torch and ran with it. And I've been going and going ever since.
And it's great. And I'm going to ask you the next question, but I think it's important to know, to hear the history, right, of how this came to be.
Absolutely.
Because on the front end, we have prospective El Camino College students who are thinking about coming to El Camino, right? And they might already be considering an HBCU, or they might not, and they'll learn about that opportunity when they get here. But right now, we have 37 historically Black colleges and universities that students can participate with the transfer guarantee. They see that end, but they don't see all the back end work, all the, these meetings with phone conferencing without Zoom, this back and forth with the chancellor's office, with administrators, with academic affairs, with student services. So when you say words like articulation, some students, I'm not really sure what that means. But what that really means is the work and dedication that you all put in 10 years ago is now providing that opportunity for them to transfer to that HBCU seamlessly, right? And now I understand there's also financial support through the California Student Aid Commission as well, aside from the individual support from the institutions. So let's talk about the students for a second. So many students come to the community college still discovering who they are. So how can an HBCU pathway help them find their voice in that journey?
Wow, what a powerful question. Finding your voice, particularly as folks of color, can often be done under a microscope, or it can be done under a heat lamp. So think about that in its pieces, right? Oftentimes, folks of color, particularly Black African-American students, in environments where they are not seen, where they are not heard, where their voice doesn't matter. They often attend schools where folks aren't leading those classrooms and those environments that don't look like them, particularly when they get to higher education. Our statistics still show, even in the California Community College, the lack of faculty and leadership of color. And so when you come in those environments and you don't see yourself and you're not finding anybody who shares your story, you're not able to connect culturally, you're not able to make any of those things make sense, why would you stay? That's why students walk away from us, because they can't find a human connection, right? And so we really believe that once those students figure out where that place might be, and it really could be an HBCU where they'll find that real unique experience, we want to help them to discover that. Elaine Moore says it all the time. HBCUs is not for everybody, even Black African-American students. But for those students who are hungry, looking for something unique that really will help to recenter who they are, their purpose, why they are there, those HBCUs can literally set them off into the galaxy. The young lady that was with us today that shared her story, who was our first transfer student in this pathway, has gone on to do remarkable things. But that's what HBCUs do every day.
Mm-hmm.
They send off people to do remarkable things. They change the world a little bit at a time in their own space and time, but that starts to add up. When you look at the data of HBCUs, they represent 3% of all higher ed education institutions. There's over 3,500 higher ed institutions in the United States. They represent 3%. But when you start looking at what they produce, that's when you realize the power of those institutions. 22%, 23% of all Black African Americans who have bachelor's degrees received it at an HBCU, but they're only 3%, right? So you start looking at these numbers and you think they're punching above their weight. They're actually doing more with less. Mm-hmm. They're actually making an impact at ways that we will never really fully understand. They work best. They do some of their best work. Ms. Moore, would you say with underserved, first gen, low income?
Absolutely.
That is their thing. Mm-hmm. To me, when I kept working in this project, kept saying, those are California Community College students. Mm-hmm. That's who we serve. That is the population that we make look good every day. Why would we not want to connect them with an HBCU? That is, it made absolute sense to me. Then when I got to know Umoja and those communities, it made even more sense for them to leave those places that they feel like home, to go to some place to finish that education that feels like home. It's a natural transition for a student who's looking to really, I think, set their life in a direction that maybe they never even dreamed about, they never even thought was possible. It's possible at an HBCU. It's possible.
Can I just add to that? So much of what you said is absolutely true, but going to the HBCUs and having professors and faculty who have high expectations and push students to do well and encourage them. They don't dismiss them. They hear their voices. It's a place for students, and they come out so much better, so much more confident and assured. And we won't even talk about all the leaders. We're talking about our former vice president. We're talking about, I don't think 40% of Congressional Black Caucus members are HBCU graduates.
Yes. 80% of all Black judges.
Yes.
HBCU graduates.
Yeah. So they do an outstanding job because the people are there. They don't have as much as the PWIs, but they want to see the students succeed. And we have seen students, and Dr. Young and I were talking about this a little earlier, who've gone from low income, even homelessness, to actually affluence, homeowners, and doing financially exceptionally well, because starting at the community college, saving money the first couple of years, and then going on, transferring on, graduating, and with the connections like some of that we heard earlier with Ms. Madden, get internships, the support, the encouragement, the direction, the guidance, they go on to just do outstanding things.
Absolutely.
May I add one thing? I just wanted to say, and what Dr. Young mentioned it, but one of the things that really sets the tone is that when they come to the community college, Ms. Moore, we had a program at El Camino College called Project Success, which is the model for Umoja.
Absolutely.
And so,
My baby.
Yes, your baby, our baby. And so when students first come into that space, and now they're all over the state, called Umoja, that is the first introduction of modeling what an HBCU college can be.
Absolutely.
So they're getting a taste when they first walk into a Umoja or a Project Success or a Black Collegian program.
It was modeled on the HBCUs.
Yes, it was, and that was my point. It was modeled. Ms. Moore, being a Howard University graduate, she created a standard within the Project Success program. That standard became the Umoja that now is a statewide program that also received the John Rice Diversity Award by the Board of Governors. And so she, we were acknowledged statewide for that work by the Board of Governors. And so when students come into our home, into our division of counseling, and they are welcome through Project Success or a Umoja program, they're getting a taste of what they can expect when they attend an HBCU. And they feel connected. They feel like they belong. So then they're like, why not?
Right.
Why not go to an HBCU? This is what home is like. This is what family's like. We're in the living room getting loved on, nurtured, and supported. And so it all was a seamless process experience for the students.
Yeah, it's to your point earlier, why not, right? With this pathway, like, of course, this makes sense that we would have this pathway with California Community College students and the HBCUs. And you talked a little bit about the students' experience and the different careers. And, just a few weeks ago, we actually had an alumni panel from HBCUs, but the panel consisted of El Camino College managers, faculty, staff. And so, to learn about their rich experience at HBCUs and to have other current El Camino College students learn about their experiences was just very impactful. And so we do hope that we can get more students into an HBCU pathway starting at El Camino. So, but today specifically, we're celebrating the 10 years of this opportunity. And so how do you see the HBCU transfer guarantee evolving in the next few years? And what do you hope its long-term impact will be on students in higher education? And if you all can each answer that, please.
Okay, I'm just so excited and happy that it's 10 years. That's beautiful. I'd like it to continue 10, 20, 30, 40, just continue. I'd like the program. It's already started with 9. We have more than 30 now. I'd like to see it continue to grow and expand. And that when we first started, we would go and visit different community colleges and tell them about this new pathway programs. And so many students students of color, African American students, faculty, they never heard of an HBCU, historically Black college and university. So we had to first educate them on what that was all about. So I'd like to continue. Of course, this is happening now, continuing on with the educating and training the counselors on what HBCU pathways is all about, and exposing more students to the option of going to an HBCU. Consider it. You don't have to go, but consider it. That's where I'd like to see the future of the road continue to go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as I reflect 10 years ago, just having the dream of wanting to have these pathways was great. And then creating the agreements was really unbelievable at that time. But I'm looking back 10 years ago and I'm thinking, really, are we still having to convince people? Because I know what we did 10 years ago, and I know the traveling, talking to people. I mean, it seems easy, but when you're meeting with college presidents and their committees to convince them this is a good thing, I think 10 years ago, I know what we had to do. We shouldn't have to do it 10 more years in the future. We should be at a point now where it shouldn't be so hard. It shouldn't be a special program. It shouldn't be something in addition to. It should be seamless now. You know, we're 2025. It should be seamless. And so what I would like to see as we move forward is to find a way that this is going to become a seamless experience where it's not a special line item. It's automatic. Just like when we're working with CSUs, with the private colleges, it's just a normal. And I don't want it to be special anymore. Mm-hmm. And so when I think about, we had to do training after we got the agreements, then we had to train all the counselors locally. First, we started with Santa Monica, LACCD, Long Beach, Cerritos, etc. Then we expanded and went to Northern California. Mm-hmm. If Ms. Moore did the work, I say we. But, but I'm just saying, I was a resource. You know, I funded, I invited them to our campus. I made sure that all the speakers were available. The training took place. But I remember having to, after we did locally, then we went Northern. I believe that we shouldn't have to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. I believe that it should be, the chancellor's doing a great job. I commend them for the work that they're doing. But in order for our partnership to elevate, and we're not asking permission to be renewed 10 years, it should be automatic. This is it. This is who we are. This is what you get. And this is how we're going to expand it. And we're going to step up and make sure that we speak to all of the, HBCUs, presidents and chancellors to make sure there's more thoughtful, detailed experience so we can expand this and it's a normal.
Wow, Dr. Regina, you took the thoughts out of my head. I think that was one of my biggest pieces, that I wanted to become normalized. But I also wanted to be something that we continue to celebrate because of the impact that they have. Again, I think every time I think about 3% producing those kind of numbers, it's remarkable to me. Every day I think about it. But 10 years from now, I think what I'd love to be able to see is some normalcy, that this is just another option for students, that people, I would love 10 years from now, I look at somebody and I say, so have you thought about an HBCU? And I don't want to hear, what's an HBCU? So I no longer want to hear that. I want my colleagues across the state to say, no, this is a great option for students. And I want to make sure that I'm communicating that to them and with them. So I want my colleagues to make sure that they are celebrating and talking about HBCUs as well. And it's not just the pulpit doing the preaching, right? That everybody in the congregation has decided to own this and see this. And one of the things I think often students, when we are visiting in the caravan, non-Black African-American students will often say, well, can I go to an HBCU? Absolutely. If you step on an HBCU campus, they are the most diverse. I don't care what other college in the universe, in this United States is talking. No, If you want to talk diversity, you go to an HBCU. And I'm not just talking about race. I'm talking about geographic. I'm talking about language, thought, right? Religion, all of those things you're going to find at an HBCU. And so really, if you want that diverse experience, I would implore you to consider an HBCU. I don't care what race background you come from. The HBCU is going to be that opportunity, I think, for a lot of people, So I share Regina's thought that I want this to become a normalized part of our conversation with students, our conversation with each other as colleagues, that I want this to become normalized in a way that allows our students to feel comfortable about making this choice.
I want to add one thing about diversity. One of our students from El Camino, before I retired when I was a counselor here, her counselor brought her to me and said, this young lady is part of the Puente project.
Yes.
And she wants to transfer to an HBCU, specifically Howard University. And so she was referred to me and I worked with her. And she transferred to Howard. Mm-hmm. And while she was at Howard, she started a Latino support program called Puente.
I love it.
She was the president. And after she left, the program continued.
I love it.
And they did change the name, but it was for Latino students. Mm-hmm. And so after she finished, she didn't stop there. She was on our team. I was education chair with the Howard alumni at that time. And she was on the recruiting committee, and she went out and talked to students, Latino students, other students about transferring to or attending Howard University. And I remember contacting her one time saying, can you go to this high school and talk about, HBCUs? And she said, I'm going back to Howard's homecoming. I'm not available. So it's always been open. We've always had a diversity of race, religion, because we tend to be a very accepting people. So it's always been diverse.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. And that also brings me to the point that these conversations about HBCUs, us, who work here at El Camino College should become educated on HBCUs and the process so that these conversations with counselors start and continue.
Absolutely.
And we get them from El Camino to an HBCU.
Absolutely.
So
and I just wanted to add, and also to let faculty know and staff, it's not an exclusive experience.
Right.
It's an inclusive experience.
That's exactly all that I heard at that alumni panel. Yeah.
Some people don't know, so we have to be, as educators, responsible to let people know this is about having an exclusive experience. So, as senior advisor to the Chancellor on Equity and Social Justice, that's what I do every day, is to make sure that people know the work that we do is inclusive, that we're supporting everyone.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pleasure and honor to chat with all three of you at the same time and really celebrate the work that you did while you were here at El Camino College for our students. And you loved the work so much that you shared it with the rest of the community college system here in California. And now we have these pathways with our HBCUs. And so you continued that work, and now we have others who will continue the work. And you mentioned earlier, you are changing lives, you are changing generations. You have changed generations. And so thank you so much for all that you do. And we do hope that El Camino College students or future El Camino College students can start at El Camino and know that there are opportunities for them at historically Black colleges and universities, and very inclusive for all. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
We appreciate you so much.